I'm going to explain a comedy fantasy movie called Chantal in Fairyland. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Chantal Ackerman is a young woman who lives in a social housing apartment in Berlin along with her brother and alcoholic mother. She has never really been good at anything in her life, education or sports or arts. The only thing Chantal wants to do is become a social media influencer. In fact, she tries her best at being a social media personality by doing makeup tutorials on Instagram Live. Chantal, however, is extremely clumsy and ends up gluing her hands to the bathroom basin. Undeterred by these failures, Chantal finds yet another opportunity to become popular on social media. She sees an advertisement from a chewing gum company called Crunchy Gum announcing a contest for influencers with low followings. Anyone who can create a cool idea to advertise the company's products will be featured on their next ad. There is no way that Chantal is going to miss this opportunity, and she immediately gets to work. Shortly afterwards, she tries to make an engaging video by pranking her best friend Zeynep, but the latter wants no part in this dumb competition and refuses to cooperate. Zeynep instead is eager to check whether she has received an apprentice invitation from a local law firm. Turns out both she and Chantal had promised to send applications a few weeks ago. Today is the day they will receive either an acceptance or a rejection letter. As Zeynep is busy sorting her mail out, Chantal notices an envelope lying around. She picks it up and discovers an acceptance letter from the law firm for Zeynep, but instead of handing it over to her friend, she quickly hides it in her bag. Following this, she drags Zeynep to a local youth center to try out for a low-paying part-time job. Chantal regularly visits this place because it has free Wi-Fi, much to the irritation of the teachers there. They urge her to be proactive and try out for better jobs elsewhere, but Chantal doesn't care. As she is also an alumni, the teachers are forced to give her the part-time job. Sometime later, the two best friends get busy instructing a bunch of kids for an upcoming drama. This is when Chantal sees a gothic-looking full-body mirror kept in one corner of the room. She and Zeynep approach the extremely dirty antique piece, which has some sort of inscription on top. Just as the two friends are talking to each other, the glass becomes as clean as new. Chantal jokes that it must be a magic mirror, while Zeynep thinks it is some virtual reality gimmick. Nonetheless, Chantal once again begins to yap about her social media contest and what she plans to do for it. She wants to become a princess while dressing Zeynep as a witch. Then a handsome prince will arrive, save Chantal the princess, and kiss her. She is busy explaining how she plans to execute this idea when suddenly something weird happens. The antique mirror speaks up and says, "Your wish is my command." Upon hearing this, the two friends are so freaked out that Chantal kicks the mirror. The glass, however, doesn't break, and instead it sucks in her leg. Zeynep tries her best to save her friend, but she too gets pulled inside the mirror. They both land on the other side, the magical world of Catania, where fairy tales are reality. Soon afterwards, they are greeted by a spirit named Sparky, who is the steward of the portals between two worlds. She reveals that Chantal had awoken the magical mirror, which granted her wish to be a princess. She is now Rosalia Esmeralda, the sole child of the king of Catania, Wildrich II. But the spirit adds that the king is a tyrant who had destroyed all the portals because of a prophecy. According to it, a chosen one would come from a faraway land and topple his rule. Furthermore, the spirit warns the two friends that they have 24 hours until the portal opens once more. She then gives them best wishes and vanishes from the spot. Despite being in complete shock, Chantal suggests they enjoy the time by fully utilizing her status as a princess. The two friends then head out of the room they landed in, only to discover that they are in a massive medieval castle. While fooling around in the lobby, they come across Aladdin, the main character from the book Arabian Nights. But he is not a thief or a prince, but rather a servant in the service of the tyrant king. Chantal sees the handsome young man and immediately starts to flirt with him, but Aladdin, being a servant, refuses to even look straight into her eyes and soon runs away in fear. Following this, Chantal and Zeynep make their way to the castle's garden. They soon come across Amalia, a highborn lady who is engaged to a famous knight of Catania. Amalia then invites the duo to a ball that is scheduled for the following day. Later that evening, Chantal and Zeynep sit down with all of the important members of the royal family for dinner. They are gobsmacked to see that the queen is trapped inside a painting. The king, on the other hand, looks like a prepubescent teen. In reality, he is an old man who maintains this young body by drinking the water from the fountain of youth. Elsewhere, we are introduced to Bosco, a handsome prince from the neighboring state. He is in love with Felipe, a young stable master who takes care of the kingdom's horses. However, just like the other highborns, Bosco is expected to do whatever his parents choose for him. It is then revealed that he is one of several princes who are vying to marry Princess Rosalia Esmeralda. Back in Catania, Chantal unearths a rather disturbing truth about herself. According to a prophecy, she will soon be cursed by a witch named Samsara. This will put her in a coma-like sleep for 100 years. Only a true lover will be able to wake her up with a kiss. It is obvious that Chantal is the princess from Sleeping Beauty. As if this wasn't enough, Samsara decides to visit Catania that very night. She takes the form of an old woman and brings a yarn spinner with her. But before the witch can cause any damage, Chantal and Zeynep spring a surprise attack on her. They know that a witch's skin is immune to every weapon except for those made of silver. Thus, they manage to knock Samsara down by using a silver spoon and a silver rod. The two friends force her to take the curse out of Chantal's body and capture it in a nearby vase. They then put away the silver tools and allow Samsara to fly back to her home. The following morning, Chantal and Zeynep are waiting for the magic portal to open once more. They are excited to return back home when suddenly they hear a noise from outside. They look out the window and see that a prince is climbing up to the room. Chantal now refuses to go back to her world because she hasn't created any content to become famous yet. So she convinces her best friend to stay until she films a promotional video for Crunchy Gum with the prince. If this is the future of Hollywood, I'm tapping out now. It's been a good run, but I'm tapping. Following this, the two quickly decide on a plan and Zeynep goes behind a curtain with Chantal's mobile phone. The latter then pretends to be asleep while Zeynep records from a distance. Prince Bosco soon enters the room and rather reluctantly tries to kiss the Sleeping Beauty, but Chantal wakes up even before their lips touch and immediately starts to put up an act for her promotional video. She tries to get the prince to express his love, but he clearly isn't into girls. In his nervousness, he grabs the nearby vase and accidentally allows the 100-year-old curse to escape. The curse starts zooming around the room and even cracks the magical mirror before entering the prince's mouth. Almost immediately, several bad things happen in quick succession. First, Bosco becomes unconscious as he has swallowed the 100-year curse. Then, the magical mirror shatters into pieces, effectively closing the only way for the two girls to return home. With no other options left, the duo summons Sparky, who is enraged at the mess they created. She tells them that no one can fish the magical portal except for a novice witch with immense natural gifts. Upon hearing this, Chantal remembers her wish. She had asked herself to be a princess and for her friend to be a witch. This makes it clear that Zeynep must now train to become a novice witch in order to fix the mirror. The duo thus decides to go to Samsara, who lives deep in the enchanted forest. After Sparky is left, the two girls hide Bosco's unconscious body so that no one can find him. They then head downstairs, but encounter Aladdin, who tries to avoid them at first. But when Chantal pleads for his help, he reluctantly agrees to do whatever she asks. He then shows them his ancestral carpet, which needs a lot of repair as it has been torn in multiple places. Nonetheless, Zeynep asks Aladdin if he knows the way to the enchanted forest. The latter replies that he does, and soon leads them out of the kingdom on two horses. They travel for several hours and finally arrive at the entrance to the enchanted forest. Chantal and Zeynep enter while Aladdin stays back to look after the horses and probably to bail as soon as they're out of eyeshot. Barely a few minutes later, the two see a huge wooden cottage and cautiously enter inside. They are soon confronted by its resident, Samsara, the evil witch who had cast the 100-year curse on Princess Rosalia. She is ready to eliminate both the girls when suddenly she notices the necklace Chantal is wearing. This makes Samsara realize that they are not from this world and immediately kneels in front of them. She then reveals a prophecy which talks about a hero from the other world. This hero will enter the Forbidden Castle where he or she will find a blue diamond. With this powerful jewel, the hero will bring peace to the kingdom and topple the tyrant king. In reality, the current king, Wildrich II, is an evil man who banished the witches from Catania. Before his ascension, the witches used to work as midwives wives who helped women deliver babies safely. But after the king heard the prophecy, he grew suspicious of everyone and banished all the witches. After this revelation, Samsara gives Chantal a compass that will guide her way to the forbidden castle. Chantal then leaves the cottage with a book containing old spells, while Zeynep stays back to train and become a witch herself. A few hours later, Chantal returns to her castle and tries to wake Bosco up. Using her newly acquired book of spells, she is busy reading the book to find the perfect spell when suddenly she hears a noise from outside. Chantal hides behind the curtains and watches on as Felipe, the stable boy, climbs into the room through a window. He sees his lover lying unconscious and kisses Bosco's lips. To his utter surprise, the prince wakes up, indicating that the two are supposed to be made for each other. An overjoyed Chantal gallops out of her hiding and congratulates the two lovers. "Now do it again so I can film it for Instagram." But their celebration is cut short when they hear a knock on the door. Felipe, who isn't supposed to be here, quickly hides in the balcony. The king enters the room seconds later and sees Chantal and Bosco together. He speculates that the prince has kissed his daughter and brought her back to life, which makes him very happy. To celebrate this occasion, he announces their marriage, as well as a grand party. Following this, Chantal begins to collect several items that are required to mend the magical mirror. She gets Aladdin to fetch some of the ingredients, while she steals the rest from around the castle. In return for his service, Chantal secretly repairs Aladdin's carpet, infusing it with the magic she learned from her book. A few days later, Zeynep returns to Catania. Having completed her witch-turning ritual, she meets up with her best friend and the duo fixes the magic mirror using Zeynep's powers and Chantal's ingredients. However, all the dark magic inside Zeynep has made her suspicious of everyone around her. She loses control over herself and begins to attack her best friend, who is forced to flee from the room. This is when Bosco's mother sees Zeynep and immediately realizes that she is a witch. Shortly afterwards, several soldiers arrive at the spot and bind Zeynep with silver chains. They are also going to arrest Chantal on suspicions of being a witch, but she manages to fly away with Aladdin on his carpet right before she's caught. With nowhere else to go, the two fly to the Forbidden Castle, where Aladdin dropped Chantal off. He plans to accompany her, but she says that she must take this journey on her own. The two then exchange their necklaces, and Chantal heads inside the castle. It doesn't take her long to reach the inner crypts where the blue diamond is kept, but before she can take it, a fierce dragon emerges from the depths of a nearby cave. It is a big, brooding beast with ferocious fire in his eyes, but Chantal remains calm, and instead of running away, she starts to talk to the beast with love. To her utter surprise, the big dragon immediately flops on the floor like a puppy. It is obvious that the beast loves Chantal and is willing to help her. Following this, Chantal grabs the blue diamond from an old throne placed inside the castle. She quickly hops on a new pet dragon, and the duo flies back to Catania. They stop on their way back and visit the Fountain of Youth, which is expertly hidden in the middle of a forest. The dragon stores a large amount of water in his mouth, and they get back to their journey. Shortly afterwards, they arrive in Titania, where the king has organized a huge public ceremony. Zeynep is tied to a pole in the middle of the courtyard and is about to be burnt alive for being a witch, but Chantal quickly intervenes with her dragon, who spits the water towards the king and his men. This causes all of them to turn into babies in a matter of seconds. Stop! After neutralizing her enemies, Chantal frees her best friend Zeynep. She then grabs the king's crown and puts the blue diamond on it. This formally makes her the ruler of Catania and gives her magical control over the kingdom. Using her abilities, Chantal frees the queen from her portrait. She also declares that Amalia will now be the chief of knights responsible for guarding the realm. Moments later, Chantal and Zeynep return to the room where the magical mirror has now been fully repaired. They bid farewell to Sparky and finally return to their own world. We then get to see that Chantal has been given a book for all her service to Catania. It contains all her adventures that she and Zeynep went through in the Fairyland. Furthermore, Chantal also hands Zeynep her acceptance letter from the local law firm. The movie ends as the two friends put all their differences aside and promise to stay together forever. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.